Hi, and welcome to Made for More. I'm your host, Fiona Morris. I'm a cleaning business owner, mum, partner, and serial entrepreneur. I wanted a place where we could come together and tell our industry stories, as well as have the conversations that we don't want to have or the tough ones that we need. I will be inviting guest experts from all different walks of life, both from the cleaning industry as well as wealth creation, property, so that we can have the conversations we are often not invited to. Because I believe our industry, myself, you, and every other cleaner that we have on this planet is made for more. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Made for More, the podcast about community and connection in the cleaning industry. And today I've got a very special guest. Wade Hobber is a previous coaching client of mine and now dear friend, mentor, co-mentor. We mentor and coach each other. Wade and I met about a year ago, actually. He attended one of our planning days. He had a cleaning business. And over time, as his purpose in life came to the surface, he is now, yes, still has a cleaning over here, but he has found his purpose in life and he now runs an incredible program. He's part of a men's movement. And even though it is a men's movement, I can personally attest that it has impacted my life as a woman who interacts with men and women who coach and work with men. And I'm absolutely thrilled he's here to do what is a bit of a story, bit of a series on his story. So Wade, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. So give us a bit of an introduction around your journey. We met. If you want to go 12 months back and give us a bit of a snapshot of the last 12 months for you and what's landed you in this seat today. The journey.
12 months. Yeah, been a fair journey. I'm an ambitious person. I was
Mm.
I was quite ambitious, and I hunted you down, Fiona. I countless messages. I was bombarding your team with emails, and then all of a sudden you started doing a few planning days around the country, and I saw you had one in Brisbane, and I was going to get on a plane and go to Brisbane, but then bang, ad come up and you're coming to Melbourne. So you fell right in my lap. So
I remember you walking in actually, and for those that haven't seen this big unit stand up yet, you'd be close to 7 foot tall, aren't you?
no, I wish.
So
No, not quite.
6.5 foot tall, big burly guy walks in, and I'm like, he has a cleaning business? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it was just I had no background in it. I was a youth worker for all my adult life, working with young men, and I took a lot on in that role. With coaching, it doesn't matter whether you're
Mm,
coaching businesses or whether you're coaching personal life, because you absorb so much and you give so much and you're not filling that cup up, you can take on a lot of responsibility or vicarious trauma. So
absolutely.
I'd taken a lot on in my previous role, and I was burnt out, and I got into cleaning. COVID hit. It was one of the industries that really was able to maintain itself throughout that period. And not only maintain it, it sort of grew throughout COVID. There's such a demand for it. So I jumped on. I saw a few videos, and I jumped on the cleaning train, and then I got in contact with you.
I remember that.
I
Yeah.
live by a rule. Yeah, I live by a rule. If you don't know the thing or you want to do the thing, you seek out the people that are doing the thing and are best at the thing. So there's a lot of things in that
Yep.
line. But yeah, I tracked you down. I remember we had lunch together. I kidnapped you for the whole luncheon. It was awesome. And you sent me, I was so motivated, and then I reached out to you on a one-on-one
Yeah.
basis, and asked you to take me on in an intensive. And our story has just continued to evolve from there, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I want to pause on the intensive for a moment because I think there's a tendency for us to glamorize, avoid, smooth over conflict, failure, when things come to light where maybe two people went into something, absolutely both people with the best of intentions. And I won't touch on it for too long, but we actually didn't have what we would call a highly successful by the measure of a successful intensive is that you walk away with all of these things to implement in your business. You and I had some disagreement. We had some differences of opinion, and I remember both of us. There was a moment, and I believe every truly great relationship has this moment of you are fully seen, fully vulnerable, open, cracked open. You've given it your all, and there's a moment in which that either it's not that it's not good enough, but it just didn't go to plan, didn't go the way we wanted it to, and it brought things out of the two of us that were not our best selves, maybe not our polished, and there was criticisms from both sides, lovingly acknowledged on both sides. There was some that was a bit more heated. And it was this 45-minute moment that I walked away from, and I felt like the person inside me, we now know, we label that, we call that Derek now, but Derek wanted to say, he's this, he's that, she's this, she's that. And it is almost like have these moments where you can label, judge, project. I was so in ego, and I walked away, and we gave it some time. And I remember when we came back together, our first next phone call was both of us. I'm really sorry about my behavior. I'm sorry I said that. Thank you for sharing. You were the same. Fiona, thank you for sharing. I had some awarenesses. I had an awakening. Thank you, Wade. I had an awakening. And as I've said to you before, I've never had this type of healthy relationship with men ever. You were actually my first confronting, difficult, masculine. I have a wonderful relationship with my partner, Pete, but he is not a confronting. You've met him. He's a beautiful man, but he's not here to challenge and change and provoke greatness within me by saying, hey, Fiona, what's that? I believe you can do better. And instead of taking it as criticism, we ended up walking away going, hang on, he's not saying the intensive was crap, you're crap, everything you did is crap. He's saying he thinks you've got better in you. And I really had to check myself over months because, and I want to dive into this more in this series, historically speaking, we've got these movements at the moment that are men are not safe. And historically speaking, in my own personal life, men are not safe. My dad was not around. And, this podcast has a trigger warning on the front end of it. I was sexually assaulted at the age of 24 after a lifetime of abuse. I then have had men come into my sphere in my employment or collaborate, and they've not wound up what I would call a safe place. So after you and I created this relationship off the back of what was a really difficult conversation, I've now got this relationship with quite a few men. But how did that, I've just explained how it felt for me. And I wanted to touch on it because I think we do talk too much about, we smooth over these really courageous conversations. And now you've made a living out of encouraging men to have these courageous conversations. So talk to me about how that went for you.
So did you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Now, what's the other side
At the time,
What's the other side of discomfort?
growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got two people that are strong characters.
Yeah.
When we project, it's a mirror. When we're projecting what we don't necessarily like or what we're uncomfortable at ourselves onto the other person. But
Yeah.
being such two strong characters who, like, we have a lot of care for each other, we see what we don't like about ourselves in the other person, but at the same time, we're pushing the other person to be better. So
Yeah.
we were going back and forth at each other because I was like, Fiona, there's so much more in you. But at the same time, I didn't feel that in myself. I knew that
Yeah.
I knew that I had my limiting beliefs, and I knew that I wasn't ready to put the action in place because I wanted to get things perfect. There was always one more book that I needed to read, or always one more video that I'd have to film. And
Yeah.
you were holding me accountable for that. You were saying, "No, Wade, pull the bloody trigger, pull the bloody trigger. Whereas that mirror, you might
Yeah.
not have necessarily been pulling the trigger yourself. So when those two mirrors collided and we had that courageous conversation, we put all
Mm.
our cards on the table and said, hang on a minute. We see so much in each other,
Yeah.
and we're speaking to each other because we actually want the best interest of each other at heart.
Yeah.
So once that surfaced and we understood where that courageous conversation was coming from, it wasn't from,
Yeah.
I mentioned to you, it wasn't from a backstabber's perspective where
Mm.
they're around trying to harm each other. It come from a frontstabber's perspective.
Whoa. Can you slow down and just dive in on that concept? Because I think sometimes you come up with a concept that I'd never heard before. And what is backstabber, front stabber concept?
So backstabbers are people that will be in your life that'll run around behind your back and try to bring you down, whether it's
Mm.
insults, whether it's comments on social media, whether it's talking to people within your circle about you, but they're not actually saying it for you. A front stabber is someone who unashamedly and unapologetically will look you in the eyes and
Yeah.
say, Wade, you look like shit. Go and have a
Or
shave.
can we have a talk?
Yeah. Or can we have
Yeah.
a talk?
Yeah.
You're
I'm a
not
bit
coming off
hurt.
like me. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Front stabber is someone that will say it to your face because not to bring you down, but to build you up because your best interest is at
Yeah.
heart. And that's
I love how
exactly
you
what we
just
did.
said backstabbers are doing it about you and front stabbers are doing it for you. And that's incredible. And I know I watched you have the choice of taking the low road quite a few times. I believe you've even had inboxes. I think you've even had inboxes from my competitors going, "What about Fiona? You got any dirt on her?" And you've gone the high road. When we have front stabbers for the first time, when we have a front stabber come into our life for the first time, I feel like sometimes our reaction is like, "Whoa, like, who are you to talk to me like that?" You can really not realize that it's actually such a healthy, because I've been a gossiper, I've been a backstabber, I've been too scared to have these courageous, loving conversations. And we know I just had one with Casey from Frawl last week, flew to Melbourne, demanded to sit in front of her. She did not want me to, to be there, but she welcomed it and we healed on the other side. Now that we know there's the back and the front, how do we maybe instigate some of these courageous conversations? What would be an opener?
Well, we'll take a step back. I think it says more about us as within our internal dialogue. So
Mm,
have a look more often than not. Are you able to receive a compliment?
yes, I am now. Yep.
You act on that. So now
Yeah,
you,
many years. Yeah,
because now you've given yourself permission to receive a
yeah,
compliment. But so
yeah.
often, so often, someone will give us a compliment, and you're like, oh no, and you deflect.
Love that. Yep,
So whether it's positive feedback
yep,
or what is perceived as negative feedback, which is actually in your
yep.
best, we're always unable to receive that feedback, and we're
Mm,
constantly seeking validation. However, we're not able to receive it. That's the big
yep,
thing.
yeah.
We're on a quest for validation, but we can't receive it. So when
Interesting.
so when you do dive within, no external can damage you. You're your worst. You're your biggest critic, Fiona.
Oh, yeah,
You're big. And I
yeah,
saw this. I saw this. This thing really changed me. I saw this gentleman. They were having a conversation, and he was saying the message was, "You're your own worst enemy." So he swore at. He said a negative remark to the gentleman in a different language that the man didn't understand. He said, "How do you feel?" And he had no reaction because he didn't understand it. So then he said exactly the same thing, but in English. And he said, "You can't call me that." He said, "Why? How are you feeling?" He said, "Oh, well, your words have really hurt me." And then
wow.
he said, "Hang on a minute, words can't hurt you." I said the exact same words and they had no
Yeah,
effect. So really, it's not the words that hurt you, it's the way you interpret it. It's the way your
mm,
internal can deal with it is what
yeah,
hurts you because the words are
yeah,
it's your
yeah,
interpretation.
yeah,
The front stabbers, situation, whether the feedback is warranted, whether it's correct, whether it's wrong, it does not matter.
Mm.
It's how you want to take it on board and how you want to accept it.
Yep.
So that's why front stabbers. So that's why your reaction to a front stabber will be either positive, negative, or neutral, depending on how
Mm.
you are with your internal.
Yep.
If you say, "Wade,
That
you look like
internal.
shit," if you say,
Have you
"Wade, you
been
look like shit,
sleeping?
you need
Yeah.
a shave,"
I
I'll say,
You'll say,
sorry, I cut you off.
no,
Yeah,
it's
I'll
a bit of a
say, "Oh,
lag.
if I'm positive, I'll say, do you know what? I actually do look like shit. Thank you, Fiona, for that tip. I'm going to have a shave." Or the negative can be say, "Do you know what? Stuff, Fiona. I'll look fine." Or the neutral version will be like, "Thank you so much for sharing that, Fiona. Thank you so much for sharing
Yeah.
that, but I'm actually comfortable at the moment." Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it's how we
Yeah. Just heading back to receiving as well. I remember when I had my first life coach, like I was just about to get divorced. I was, really, really hating on myself. And I remember that she said, from now on, whenever someone says something nice to you or about you, all you are allowed to do is say thank you. You're not allowed to give a compliment back. You're not allowed to make a compliment transactional. And she said, and I just want you to sit with how uncomfortable that feels. And so I noticed people were like, "Oh, I love your hair." And you're like, "Oh, yeah, it's funny what happens when you wash and blow dry your hair." Or, "Geez, I love that dress." "Oh, this old thing." And I started saying thank you. And it felt really uncomfortable, really, really uncomfortable. And over the years, I've obviously worked on it a lot. And what I realized is, especially in the sphere of women, if a woman is like fully full of herself, she's up herself and she rates herself. And if a bloke is, really frothing on himself and he thinks he's hot stuff and he thinks he's great stuff, we always say, "Oh, he's got a big ego." And I realized over the years that the hurting, sort of broken person in me always looked at really confident, free people as up themselves. And it wasn't until probably even 12 months ago when I started dressing in bright colors and really, really expressing myself that I realized that I had made compliments and things transactional, tit for tat, or I'd give a compliment to people that I really liked. And if you'd hurt me, I was not able to receive. And therefore, if you can't receive, you also can't really give. It's like a flow almost. So that's a big one, isn't it? Even just going, "Thank you."
Yeah, we're both positive,
I
yeah.
don't. Yeah. So talk to us a little about your journey into over the last year into the work that you now do. You've had some pivotal moments. You've had some huge losses and suffering in the last year, but it's your story to tell. And when I created this podcast, I just kept bumping into in my cleaning coaching people that were just incredible humans and had stories that was so inspiring. And they say to me, "I find you inspiring, Fiona, but I find you inspiring." Like I would have packed up my bat and ball and I would have gone full Derek. And so maybe give us a snapshot of what's led you to the work in the last year that you now do.
Yeah, so I felt on top of the world, like I felt invincible 12 months ago, and I was ambitious. I was working closely with you. I had my house paid off. I had a little
Mm.
investment property, two beautiful sons. I got married in Las Vegas. What,
I remember that.
yeah, what a dream! What a dream! And that was November. And a couple of months later, I find myself in a real fork in the road moment. We call them fork in the road moments,
Mm.
where a moment where I felt life was really happening to me.
Yeah.
Um, so relationship breakdown.
Yeah.
Um, Within the space of 48 hours, lost my wife, my children, and my sister took her life. So I was a shell of a man. I was an absolute
Yeah.
shell of a man. Um, my whole identity was Wade the father. So my identity had been taken.
Yeah.
I didn't know who I was now.
Yeah.
So much uncertainty. I didn't know. I didn't know how long this would be going through.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I did what majority of Aussie males do. I went and saw my counsellor, Jim Beam,
Yeah.
and then when my counsellor, Jim Beam, was finished with me, I got a second opinion from Dr. Jack Daniels, and I found myself really spiraling. You know,
Yeah.
uh, just that band-aid fix, yeah, just that band-aid of trying
Yeah.
to be either not have the tools in my toolkit and able to
Yeah.
deal with what I'm going through, being ashamed of my current situation,
Yeah.
and also being really scared
Yeah.
of the uncertainty. So my tool that I would pick up would be drinking, because it helped me sort of escape what I've been going through. So I had a few days of heavy drinking, and the person that was in my corner was you. You'd message
I
me.
remember that first call.
Yeah, you'd message me, you'd call me, and you'd check in on me and see how I was going. Fast forward now, so this was February. We're now in December. I
Yeah.
buried another 6 family members in that time.
Yeah.
6, like, family and friends, that is. Like, I just felt like anything that God can throw at me, he was throwing at me. And I
Yeah.
didn't understand. It took me a very long time to understand sort of what was going on.
Yeah.
And I just started to understand the concept that life happens for us, not to us. So
Yeah.
I I didn't want this pain to be in vain. I'm going
Yeah.
through this for a reason. What is the reason? So I started to really dive deep and look at the lessons that I was learning. What am I learning about myself? And I either go one way and start drinking,
Yeah.
but you fast forward those behaviors. What does that version of Wade look like? Who is he
Yeah.
surrounded? What does he have? What does he sound like? What does he look like? What does his energy feel like?
Yeah.
Or I take the alternate route and I start working on 1% and becoming the best version of me, like compound interest, through each act that I did that worked towards my positive version, not my negative version.
Yeah.
Down the road, it creates a complete different scenario, and then it gave me
Yeah.
power and understood
Yeah.
that this is happening for me, not to me. Through every
Yeah.
single decision that I make from here on out,
Yeah.
if I'm going to stack each decision, I'm going to be a complete different unit. I'm going to be a different beast that no one's ever met before. So that's been my
Yeah.
mission.
I want to touch on
So
that just for a second.
yeah,
Something I notice in people who have had rapid transformations, and realistically, February, nothing you'd created in your life was still a rock solid. The cleaning business was a challenge. Wife, kids, family, done right there and then. And what I notice in a lot of people who have had rapid transformation, they use the same words and they go, fast forward 12 months, fast forward, but we're not actually even 12 months. So this is March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, 9 months to not just put your cleaning income back on track, but to rapidly and radically transform your mindset. You're back at the gym, your body, like you have transformed. And I remember your behavior and the way you talked in those weeks where we connected. And there was a few things there that you had made a decision to never be, it was unfair. Don't get me wrong. And we call a spade, the injustices and the unfairness of it. But there was this massive amount of accountability and responsibility sitting at your feet. And I remember, very limited as your friend and coach with what support I could give. But I remember saying to you, someone had actually said to me to not pick up the drink when I split with my husband, and to really focus on what I could do for me, the gym, that sort of thing, getting in rooms of people. And I remember you saying you'd gotten into rooms with some incredible men's movements. And when we say fast forward 9 months, I think just for us to pause for a second on, this was a day by day, breath by breath, week by week, full commitment to living your most expanded life But when you do that, you can, I believe, I'm 45 next week. I know, Wade, you're right. I don't look a day over 27. You are correct. Thank you for that compliment.
In my mind.
I know, I did. See how good I am at compliments. I just can even receive them telepathically now. I have radically transformed who I am, and I have watched you do that in the last 6 or 8 months through that incredible commitment to self. The work involved there, the human that sits in front of me today is not the same human, and I absolutely applaud you for that. But it's a commitment, and I believe, like I was just saying before, that you can actually undo incredible. You can almost reverse some things, and I know that you have actually got now a beautiful relationship with your mum, for example. You never would have thought that would have healed the way it is through this work. This work is, it's incredible.
Yeah, and I had a real aha moment. I went away and I reflected on where I was at. And when we become victims and we blame, we don't look at, okay, what culmination of acts or decisions have gotten me to this point where I'm at.
Mm,
So then I was like, take gaming, for example, video games.
yeah,
You invest in an avatar. I used to watch my kids play Fortnite. They make sure that their character looked the best, and you play all these video games. Your avatar lives the life that you want it to live. And then I
yeah,
started thinking to myself, well, life's the biggest game that we play. What does winning the game of life actually look like? You can go to the
wow,
footy, you go to the footy on the weekend, and you have a clear objective of what you need to do to win a game of footy. You can play a game of chess, you've got strategies, you know exactly what winning the game of chess looks like. The
yeah,
most important game in this universe is our individual game of life. Yet if I ask 99% of people, what does winning the game of life look like? They'll be stumped. They won't have a
yeah,
clue. And they don't invest in what their avatar looks like. So I sat away and I said, this is exactly how I want me to look. This is exactly how I want me
yeah,
to feel. This is how I want others to feel when they're around me. And I've just worked on a steady path of trying to achieve that. And that's been
yeah,
done just through 1% efforts, 1% every
yeah,
day. So the
yeah,
boys that I coach, we get so overwhelmed when we look at the big picture, when we look at the end game. So we just
mm,
we just work on our 1%ers every single day. And like compound interest, when those 1%ers stack, they look completely different than the -1%. So
yeah,
I'll give you an example. Have you seen Back to the Future?
yes,
You know, when Biff finds the almanac, when he finds that almanac, when he finds the almanac,
vaguely,
his avatar, when he finds the almanac, he's balling. He's in a penthouse. He has all the money. He has women. He has attention. He has power. But without that almanac, he's cleaning cars. There's a complete different reality of what Biff actually looks like. Now, that's just
yeah,
one example of fork in the road moment. There's one fork in the road moment that completely changed the trajectory of his life.
mm,
That's a pretty significant. That's like a Tats Lotto ticket. In reality, that's a significant fork in the road moment. But what if I told you that every single thing that you do every day is a Tats Lotto ticket, and I gave you the
yeah,
power of choice to stack all your little efforts, and I told you
mm,
once all those little efforts were stacked in 6 months, in 12 months, in 3 years, they will create a complete different reality of what Fiona is or what Wade is.
yeah, yeah,
And so now we break down every little task into understanding, okay,
yeah,
I have power to make a choice in this. So
absolutely,
I drink a bottle of water.
yeah,
Derek would drink a soft drink or a Jim Beam.
yeah,
Okay. I get up early and go for a walk now.
yeah,
Derek is sleeping in. Derek's snoozing,
yeah,
he's sleeping in.
yeah,
I'll go to the gym. Derek's on the couch watching Netflix. And we don't realize they're small little choices. They're small little
yeah,
acts.
yeah,
But like Derek, through time, they just add up to a
yeah.
complete different reality.
Well,
So
let's talk about Derek since you've raised Derek. Um,
yeah.
you know, the Derek. Who's the Derek?
So we all have our inner Derek.
Mm,
Derek's our alter ego that represents all our negative
yeah,
and thoughts, behaviors, decisions, and emotions, really. I'll
yeah,
give you an example. I took one of the blokes that I coached with, Derek. I took him on a walk in the morning. We got up early in the morning. He said, "I've never gotten up this early ever." And I said, "How do you feel?" And I'm a stroller. I'm a big advocate for the way you set, win the morning, win the day. However, the tone you set by easing into your day, it means you'll have a nice, easy, cruisy day. So I took him for a walk and he goes, this is so calm. This is relaxing. And I said, what would Derek be doing right now? He said, oh, Derek would be sleeping in, pressing snooze. I said, okay, let's see how that affects your life. That one little decision of being a Derek, sleeping in, let's see how that affects your life. I said, how is Derek on his way to work? He said, oh, well, because I press snooze, I'm running a bit late. I hit every red light. I said, how do you feel? How does Derek feel? And he goes, oh, he's anxious. He's angry. I said, okay, so now how's Derek rocking up at work after starting like that? He said, oh, he's not that productive and he doesn't want to communicate that well. I said, so you're saying that he doesn't have the best rapport with staff? He doesn't have the best relationships with clients? How's he going to go getting that job promotion that he's looking for? He said, oh, well, the boss wouldn't be happy, would he? I said, Derek hasn't got anywhere. Well, how does he go home now? He goes, he goes home pretty angry and miserable. And I said, who cops the brunt of that? The people under your roof.
Yeah.
So I said, just through one act of sleeping in and being a Derek, you become a Derek for the rest of your day. So that's what I mean, those little fork in the road. So he has a decision to get up early and start his day with gratitude and with mindfulness and really. Then we become really aware of where Derek pops up. So it's in beliefs, for example. I'm not good enough. I can't. I'll never be good as them. That's Derek mentality. But once we realize, oh, I'm being a real Derek here, the more we start to practice it, the boys start coming up with motto like, don't be a Derek, or you being a real Derek.
You're being a real Derek.
Yeah, and then it becomes second nature. And
you can't be a Derek to yourself and then expect you're not going to be a Derek to others. And you can't be a Derek to others if you're not being a Derek to yourself. So it's kind of this, I feel like the more that I'm aware of my own limiting beliefs within myself, I see that then maybe how I might limit others around me, or how that dialogue might come out as, you know, you're less than, you should do better, KPIs. And I've been deep in the Derek before. I've been, you know, all of those things. And when you just said, how is that person showing up as a boss? I know, like, I would be angry, I'd be short, I'd be, you know, nothing's ever good enough. And I noticed that was my external, and it's really easy to blame other people when you're walking in Derek. And it's not that person didn't do enough. It's that I didn't feel that I was enough. And so it's interesting is I think that culturally as well, and maybe you can talk into this a little bit, when we be a Derek, okay, so what you're saying is everyone has a Derek inside them. Everyone has this, it's human, and you're going to show up here and there as Derek. And so this is where having these front stabbers to call you forward, not call you out, call you forward, because I think backstabbers call someone out and front stabbers call you forward. When you see someone being a Derek, or, you know, I know that I've been a Derek many times, I suppose the thing is how do we then lovingly, become aware of it? I can't remember where I was just going with this, but
I know exactly where you're going, because
great. Pick up where I left off. I lost my train of thought there for a second.
That's been the magic about it, is that because we've formed an alter ego, we're not directly attacking you. We're not attacking you. So
I love that.
So we're attacking the behavior or the action.
Yeah.
We're not attacking the person, because
I love that.
Reflected onto your alter ego. So if you're being a negative Nancy, or you've got self-belief, instead of saying, hey, Fiona, you're being a sook, you'd be like, oh, that front stab could really bloody hurt. But if I said, hey, Fiona, are you being a real Derek right now? It makes you bang straight up. Think of, you take ownership of your behaviors, and then it takes you and you go, actually, I am being a bit of a Derek here. And it makes you be able to assess and analyze what's going on with you rather than you taking it as a
Yeah.
direct
Yeah.
insult.
Yeah.
So
Because people get it wrong.
yeah,
Like,
but
we
it's
get it
even
wrong,
up
right?
yeah, but it's even up the accountability. So people are now so I within my group, we have accountability check-ins and everything,
Yeah.
but it leads another level of accountability. People are saying, "Look, I was being a real Derek today, but I'm gonna start again today." So even people are
Yeah.
taking ownership.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is not directly
Yeah.
selling your avatar. It's this
Yeah. Even this morning, before we jumped on this call, I said, "Oh, you know, I felt Derek. I didn't let him in, but I heard him knocking at the door this morning." And
yeah,
it's almost like you can get a healthy distance from it, because when you just said before, there's the person and then there's the behavior. And what I've noticed is that people that have experienced me when I was in full Derek, right? They just call me Derek. They just know me as Derek. And that's more comfortable for them. We shame the Derek. We blame the Derek. Especially with men, if men are insecure or they're manifesting any aggression well before it's even turned into something, I think we shame each other for being human and not bringing it forward. And we go, Wade is this because he manifested these behaviors. Fiona is this because she was like this. And I know now, having done a lot of this work in the last 12 months, even in the last 6 months, significantly looking at myself and checking my Derek, my behavior, that there are people that have had an experience of us 12 months ago, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, and all they're going to know is that side of us, because we manifested it so much. I find a
the
lot
flip side,
of comfort in the separating. This is who I am and this is my behavior, and I can do something about this, but this is my heart, this is my purpose, and this is who I am on the inside. This is who I am here. And then I can do something about that behavior, which then when I'm dealing with other people, I'm like, this isn't Wade. This is Wade. This is not reflective of Wade's heart. This is just something that's happening for him. And I'm going to wait this out for a minute, and then I'm going to call it forward.
you've hit the nail on the head. It shows that there is an option as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're so stuck in a dark place, or we'll be so stuck in our
Yeah.
groundhog routine, and we'll think that that's us. Oh, I'm depressed and I have no motivation and I can't
It's
be
just
bothered.
who I am. You don't understand.
But then if I say I'm being a Derek right now, that means that there must be another choice. There
I'm
must be
choosing.
there must be another
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was at the gym. I was at the gym the other day, and I actually took my own advice. I was looking around, and there was some real buff people, and I was looking at myself. I'm like, oh, I've been working hard. I don't look how I want to look. We always wish we looked like we looked 12 months
Yeah.
ago. 12 months ago, we weren't happy with how we looked. So it's this never ending cycle
Yeah.
of chasing
Yeah.
the unattainable, you know? And then I was like, hang on a minute, Wade, what's Dick doing right now? And I said to myself, oh, Derek's on the couch watching TV. I said,
Yeah.
I'm already, it's a win. Just being here and doing the opposite to what Derek would be doing, I'm winning.
Yeah.
When I looked in the mirror, I was comparing myself to what I want to look 12 months down the track or 6 months down the
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
Comparing myself to a future version of me. How about I just compare myself to my present moment, the present choice that I have,
Mm.
and just by showing up and doing the
Yeah.
thing, I was already winning. So then I was like, how good's this? I'm winning
Yeah.
stuff, Derek.
Yeah.
Beat me today, Derek.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect leveler. It gets us grounded.
It's so good. It's so good. Does Derek stand for something, or did you just come up with the name? Because there's not many Dereks. I don't know many Dereks. Poor Derek. Sorry to Derek if he's listening. We just,
There is a few reasons why it popped up.
yeah.
I think from Step Brothers was one idea,
Yeah.
but he's like,
Because Derek's a dick in that movie. Yeah. Yeah.
Derek's a
Fair. And he's easy to not want to hang out with.
yeah, he wasn't cool to hang out with. And there was a couple of other things. And Derek actually means the ruler of people. So how fitting, like how bloody fitting that how often have we let Derek really take over our life and put us on
Yeah.
a collision
Yeah.
course, negativity and limiting
Yeah.
belief. So
And
we don't
Derek, if I came over to your house and I knocked on the door and I said to you, "Hey, Wade, I'm just coming to visit you, but I'm just letting you know that I have like some really bad communicable disease," right? Name the worst one you can think of. I don't know, like something. Maybe I've got like chicken pox, or I've got something that shingles, or something that it's contagious. This is what I've noticed. The Derek is contagious. And if you hang out with Dereks or people that are walking in their Derek and you don't call it forward, you don't say something, you don't move to a different table, you can catch it. And there's like clusters of this stuff happening on, all different places. So where can we go to catch the opposite? Like, I know you do some work now. I'd love you to talk into the movement. Show us your shirt. We know you're not. Life is better. Okay. Yep. Life is better with a smile. So if you see these, talk to us about the socks, talk to us about the shirt, talk to us about the movement.
So we were talking about my story earlier. So
Yeah.
when I did get on the drink, I ended up I just wasn't safe in my own head. So I went to a seminar, a men's seminar, and I was actually in the urinal, and this gentleman came up to me and just said, "I just want to thank you for doing your best right now." And I couldn't believe it. Like he felt my energy, he felt my heart. I was
Yeah.
admitting I was projecting this energy, and this gifted up. And he handed me a pair of yellow socks. And paraphrasing, the socks say the yellow is sunshine, it's the warmth of community, and the black dots represent our dark days. Everyone has them. There's no getting away from that. Let's hope that you have sunny, dark days. And I've told you this before. I
Mm,
broke. I don't know if I broke down. I definitely broke open. And we've been on a journey together ever since. So that man was Scott Carson. So he's my biggest advocate, my biggest mentor, and he works with me every day. And he runs a non-for-profit called the Business of Smiles. And the goal of the Business of Smiles, the mission is to create safe environments for men to have real courageous conversations. So
yeah.
in our spare time, we walk the streets and we give out socks and give conversations with people. And the socks have actually acted as a magical tool, a communication tool. And the amount of
Mm,
lives that I've seen have been saved just by having conversations with people, it's been incredible. So
yeah.
we've been presenting, we're creating a hub. So a hub for blokes that can go to, where blokes that want personal development, they want to be
Yeah.
better dads, better men, be around blokes. It's going to be an amazing, supportive environment to help
Yeah.
build better fathers, better partners, and better positive male
Yeah.
role. So that's
Yeah.
the mission we've been on, and it's been
It's
like
amazing.
we were at an event the other day, and Scott says we have to go. An anonymous member from the public had text Scott his mobile, text Scott's mobile number, saying that there was a loved one who was about to take their life. And the top bloke Scott took me there and just sat with him, just held that space, just
Yeah.
spoke to him about where he's at, what he wants to achieve, who's in his life, what got him to this point. Um,
Yeah.
and that man is still here today. So
Mm,
the work that he does is absolutely incredible.
yeah. Well, the work that you do as well. So, you know, I know that I'd never heard of Scott before you introduced him into my world. And I remember we were also having a talk. Derek would like you to believe that you're the sum of your mistakes. And if by that measure I'm a, angry, abusive, uncaring, non-compassionate person, if I let, Derek talk to me. And I remember when I said to you, like, I think there was a man in crisis that had come through my sphere in coaching, and I was sending him to you. And I think as a society, if a man is abusive, like or woman, then realistically we punish them forever. It's who they are. I'm going to work in the jails. I've been working in the prisons, training the prisoners there, and I've been astounded at the amount of people who are like, let them rot, let them suffer. And you said something to me that really hit home. I can't remember, you might have to reword it. And you said, but Fiona, even if they're wrong, do they not get support and love? How are we going to break this abusive cycle if there is only resources for people that are, victims of systemic abuse, violence, anger issues? I know that there is not many places you can go and be open and honest and real about your failings or your derricks. So talk to me about the space that you believe should be held for people um, who are coming out. Maybe they're like, I don't want to live this life anymore. I don't want to be angry and bitter and treating myself and others terribly. How can they reach out? Where's some of the places that we can send them? How do they find you online? What's the name of these programs? I know you're based in Melbourne, but I believe you're looking at a national movement, and maybe even talk a little bit about the fact that, and this astounded me, that you were the only group that did a movement men's event on International Men's Day.
Yeah, it's a unique time. It's a unique time in society. I don't think we fully understand exactly where we're at. Sort of, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving cogs and parts, and
Mm.
if that's the case, there's a lot of blokes that fall through the cracks.
Yeah,
Uh, if I didn't have people around me, or I didn't have a house that I could put up to be able to, go through legal streams, where would I
yeah,
be? I'd fall
yeah,
through. So I wouldn't have any support.
yeah,
And the problem is, we have a legal system, we have a health system, but we really need a care system. And
yeah.
that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build the care system. So a lot of facilities work operating 9 to 5.
Mm. Yeah, I don't schedule my breakdowns, my crisis, and my getting kicked out of my marital home for 4:30 so I can pop over to the centre.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
Derek doesn't take any lunch breaks, does he?
no, he's a jerk. He shows up at the worst times.
So at the moment, we're based out of Frankston. Frankston
Yeah.
have the largest demographic of domestic violence in our state. So why
Wow.
so why not target the biggest beast to try to help
Yep.
that? We don't
Yep.
shy away. With firemen, we run into the fire. We don't shy away from a battle. So why not
Yeah.
really why not really try to make an impact for people that really need it
Where it
most?
matters. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's online. Um, Myself or Scott on Facebook.
Yeah. Attached to the bottom of this podcast will be some contact details. So let's talk now briefly about, because we're coming on the hour, and I'm loving this, but I do like to, for the listeners, keep it to the hour. We will be getting Wade back, don't you worry. And Wade has actually agreed to come into the Grow My Cleaning Biz coaching community next year to help make some impactful change, because even though this movement is for men, I, as an employer and as a partner and as a mum of a 22-year-old man, these are skills and things that I want to learn as well. I want to be able to hold space and love for the men that are in my sphere. And sometimes I don't really understand, the male dynamic versus what I've experienced. So talk to us a little bit about the pillars. Like, if you're deep and dark in the derrick, I know that you've said there's some pillars. So talk to me about the pillars.
So the first block that I run is clear. We call it clear. That's my
Yep.
framework. So we get really clear on where we're at in life, because
Yeah.
when you go to the beach and you're rushing around the beach and you stir up all the sediment and the sand in the water, and you can't see 2 feet in front of you.
Yeah.
When you that chaos going on in your life, you can't see your next best steps. Everything's
Yeah.
stirred up. So we really slow everything down. We get everything basic, and we get really clear on where we're at and where we want to be. So the
Yep.
C that we work on, C stands for connections. So that's
Yep.
relationship with yourself and relationships with
Yep.
others. We
Yep.
really dive deep on self-love and how we show up,
Yep.
our families, for our workplace. The L is for lifestyle. So we have a
Yep.
holistic approach of mind, body, spirit. So we get instead of
Mm,
mental health, we work on our mental fitness,
love
because
that.
mental health sort of, when you pick your mental health, you think you have to go to a doctor and take medicines and see a psychiatrist, see a psychologist. What if we call it mental fitness? And just like going to the gym, you're actually in control. The mind
Yeah.
and your mental fitness is like a muscle, and the more you train it, the more you eat good foods, like you take
Yeah.
good foods for your brain. So
Yeah.
we watch what we consume. If we want to get healthy, we think we only consume healthy foods and water. But we have an approach where no, we're conscious of what we consume through our ears, who we're listening to, what we're listening
No.
to. I think
Yeah.
I told you before, when we're happy, we listen to the beat of a song. When we're sad, we
Yeah.
listen to the lyrics, and we'll apply everything.
Oh,
So what are you listening to?
yeah.
Who are you listening to?
Yeah.
We focus on
While we're on
we
that as
focus
well, is just remembering as well, is there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money and a lot of power in having very unwell societies I have spent a little bit of time in the last week scrolling a bit more, and I noticed that Derek turns up for me when I start looking at what's on the internet. And you're right. You have to be incredibly protective. There is so much toxicity and negativity out there. You've got to really watch your energy. And I remember you even said to me, "Well, on a clean once," and I never really understood at the time what the fuck you meant. And now I get it. You're like, I think you might have said, Fiona, it's all about the energy. It's all about the energy. And I didn't get it then, but your energy enters a room well before you do, and you give off what you absorb in. So I love that. I love that pillar.
So the other one, consuming what comes
Mm,
through your eyes. So what are you watching TV, or are you reading? You're getting out in nature, or you're being a hermit and keeping yourself in your house. And it's funny you
yeah.
mentioned the Instagram. The algorithm is designed to feed whatever you feel, whatever you're most interested in at that time. So if
Mm,
you understand what an algorithm is, if you're going through a breakup, the algorithm will feed you content to enforce what you
mm,
seek, to reinforce what
yep,
you seek. So if you're going through a breakup, it's
yep,
going to give you all depressed breakup quotes.
yep,
Or
yep,
if you're a gambler, the algorithm will reinforce what you seek. All
yep,
gambling messages come through. The algorithm is so dangerous; it doesn't discriminate. And
yep,
by being aware of that, it's going to feed whatever you're most interested in that time. So we're
yep,
very conscious of what you consume through your eyes.
absolutely.
That's the L. So we get your lifestyle back on track.
Yeah, I
Holistic.
love that.
The E's for exploration, so adventure. What fills your bloody cup up?
Yep,
Like, what do you want your avatar to look like? Is your avatar
yep,
just around the day, going to work, coming home, sleep, eat, go to the
yep,
toilet?
yep,
What fills your cup up? So getting outside, going on
yep,
adventures. And we think
yep.
adventures cost money. They don't bloody cost money.
No. Yeah, you're
So
so right.
if you're changing language, I take my
Yeah,
kids to the park. It's free. I take them to the park, and we'd say, instead of having a mundane activity like going to the park, I say,
yeah,
look, go on an adventure. And just by
yeah,
changing our language and changing our
yeah,
language,
absolutely.
it means you take it from being a task to becoming a
Yes.
mem and it becomes a
Yeah,
mem
yeah,
and we're in the industry of chasing memories. So that's what exploration is for. A is for attitude, so completely reinventing your attitude, assessing
yeah,
what is our attitude mindset, and just filling it with a growth mindset, not that closed mindset. Flooding our attitude with gratitude and positivity. So that's really important. And then the R, to bring up the end of clear, is our routine. So our routine and
yeah,
product.
yeah,
The P's, what is it? Prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. Is that how it
yeah,
goes?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That's an old one.
So just buddy, like making sure that everyone sets an alarm clock. I'm just giving little examples. Everyone sets an alarm clock to wake up in the morning. Have you ever thought to set an alarm clock for a go to bed time? Like
Mm,
it
yeah,
changed my game. Like, oh,
yeah,
you can be on TikTok for hours scrolling,
absolutely.
and then
Yeah,
you're like, oh shit, it's past midnight. I've got to get up.
yeah,
And you've been
yeah,
pressing alarm clock snooze in the morning.
absolutely. That
So just
routine side, I just think you are what you do repeatedly. And I think talking about like when Derek shows up, um, I've been out of whack of my routine for a little while. And I've noticed that, one little thing goes first and then we justify it. We're like, oh, yeah, but I've been working hard or whatever. I feel like the clear, CLEAR, needs to be like some sort of, it needs to be printed or tattooed or, put on the board somewhere just to remind ourselves each day, okay, let's not forget, let's get clear on what we want. Let's remember these these steps, because the pillars are different. But even if you just put clear on the wall, you would make better choices just being reminded about that. I think it's
Yeah.
amazing. Mm,
And each topic we dive really deep. We run workshops on each topic, but each one has three little steps. So
yeah,
when life seems getting really hard, for lifestyle example, when life seems like it's getting really hard, I go, just go to the basics: water, sleep, steps, and
yeah.
that's all you have to do. So we have
Water, sleep, steps.
yeah. So um, just breaking it down, we make things a lot more complicated than what it is.
We sure do, don't we? So thank you so much for joining us today, Wade. It's absolutely been a fantastic introduction to you into the podcast and into our community, and we're going to hear a lot more from you. Is there anything you wanted to say before I do a wrap up quote? Anything that you feel like maybe is pressing that you'd like to share that you maybe didn't get to?
Um, we're all our captain on this voyage. I just want
Mm,
and like we're gonna take dints here and there. We're not gonna get everything perfect every day. But what we do with our community, we just try to make sure that we have more wins than losses, and
yeah,
we don't call them losses. We call them lessons. So if anyone's listening today and they're taking a bit on board, I just want them to know that you're not going to get it right every single time. You're going to take dints, but
absolutely.
you're the captain. Just keep
Yeah.
his life or you, not to you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. And I'm just going to go out with a quote or an example that I remember someone said to me years ago is there's always two dogs inside of us. There's the light
Mm.
dog and the dark dog, and they're fighting with each other. And I think the lesson there is someone said, and I can't remember this quote. Maybe you know what this quote is. It says, "Which dog wins?" And it's the one you feed the most. So for
Mm.
those of you listening, what are you feeding? What are you buying into? What are you propagating? Because in our friendship, mine and Wade's, every time I talk to him, we're propagating more love, which we haven't had in our lives at every step. We're propagating um, respect and courageous conversation. So just want you to have a look at which dog are you feeding the most, and maybe put one. We're going to put the Derek dog on a diet, and we're going to really pour into those other ones. So I can't wait to have you on here again. So from the bottom of my heart, Wade, thank you for being here. We've absolutely smashed it. I love your story and I can't wait to hear more. And I'm sure the guests can't either.
Thank you, Fiona.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, little heart. Thank you so much for listening to that podcast, and I hope you got some amazing takeaways from it. You can help us by clicking the subscribe link or sharing with us the topics that you'd like to see in future. Please do subscribe because it helps little businesses like us stay relevant. And I hope that after this podcast, you know that you were made for more.